Bernardo Roque was a member of revolutionary movement Tupac Amaru, better known as MRTA, which was one of the groups that took up arms against the Peruvian state in the 80s and 90s. He was sentenced for crimes against the state and served a 15-year prison term. After renouncing to the use of violence, Roque was released from prison in 2008, but he is confronted with a society that condemns him.
Everyone, from a simple combatant up to the comrades from the highest commands, have assumed their responsibility in this process of, let's call it, violence. And we have paid with our liberty and with very hard years of imprisonment, and many continue to pay, still like in the naval base. So that is the payment for the mistakes that we made.
The recent release of another former MRTA member, Peter Cardenas, after he served a 25-year sentence, has caused a media and public outcry. Analysts claim that the disapproval of those who took up arms in Peru is a generalized reaction against the Shining Path, the other armed movement in those decades.
Shining Path is a subversive Maoist phenomenon that does not happen in any other country in the region, with the violent component very exacerbated, very ideological. That ends up confronting directly the people, and even the left. Therefore, this is one of the elements that explains why this environment is so different than others.
Such environment contrasts with how in other countries of the region, those who took up arms are integrated into society, and some even hold important political posts. Nevertheless, the situation is such that few predict a change in perspective in Peru in the coming years. Rael Mora, teleSUR, Peru.
The former French Prime Minister François Fillon believed that the airstrike against ISIS in Syria are symbolic rather than having any real effect on terrorists. Many believe that there is no option for the French government must cooperate with the Syrian government if it wants to fight ISIS.
European countries today are attempting to disassociate themselves with supporting terrorism. No sane person can believe that the air operations against terrorists can do anything. Europeans today have realized that they are exposed in front of their communities, so they are trying to change.
A French parliamentary delegation visited Damascus and was prepared this Monday on the situation from the inside. This visit reflects a clear change in European policies, which has not worked with the Syrian government for 5 years.
As you know, our visit is not political, but rather humanitarian par excellence. We are here to evaluate things on the ground and to see the situation in Syria, and to take this back to the French.
In light of the new developments, all eyes are now on the meeting between the presidents of Russia and USA, and what this will mean on the ground. Hazem Abdullah, teleSUR, Syria.
Looking towards even greater satellite sovereignty, Argentina will launch its second geostationary telecommunications satellite, ASAT-2, into outer space from French Guiana this week.
The fact that we've launched 2 satellites made in Argentina and put them into Argentina's orbital positions shows that we've achieved what was once a dream and is now a reality.
Around $250 million were invested into the design and construction, made entirely in Argentina by state-owned operated enterprises ARSAT and INVAP.
It's another step forward to what we here at ARSAT and in Argentina consider our goal, a Latin American satellite industry.
This new Argentine satellite will cover a vast extension of the Americas, from the Malvinas Islands in the deep southern cone and all the way up to the US. All Latin American and Caribbean nations will be covered by ARSAT-2.
I am enormously proud to be a part of this group of professionals that have carried out the ARSAT project and to have the chance to put in together a team that will further develop Argentina's space industry and why not promote it around the entire region.
Argentina is part of a select group of only 8 nations which have the capacity to build and operate their own satellites. ARSAT-2 took less than half the time to be designed and built compared to its predecessor, ARSAT-1, launched in 2014, which confirms that Argentina is serious about becoming a worldwide leader in satellite technology. Leo Bolete, TeleSUR, Buenos Aires.
Here in this forum, survivors of the 1968 student massacre reflect with survivors of the police attack on the Ayotzinapa students in Iguala Guerrero. Those from 1968 share their advice on how to pressure for truth and justice in the Ayotzinapa case.
The proposal I would give to the parents and comrades from Ayotzinapa would be, on the one hand, to have the social movements on your side, struggling for the punishment of those responsible and not letting the movement die, and on the other hand, to have the law and legal resources at hand so as to punish and try those responsible.
Meanwhile, in front of the UN General Assembly, Mexico's President Enrique Peña Nieto ensures that the authorities are committed to the defense of the population's human rights.
Mexico is a nation that is fully committed to the rule of law, human rights, and peace.
However, that sentiment is not widely shared at home. In the wake of the forced disappearance of the 43 Ayotzinapa students 1 year ago, many call for measures beyond just changing political leaders.
When we say memory, truth, and justice, in reality we are saying a different state. We are saying a different form of social organizations, a different way that is not this one.
In this past weekend's Ayotzinapa anniversary marches, the same reflection was echoed.
I think one of the big lessons is that we confront a system that does not practice self-criticism, that does not recognize its own errors.
Yet the families of the missing and killed students argue that a year of constant organizing protests and social pressure has forced Mexican authorities to accept a degree of blame.
Despite the fact that the Mexican state has bet this case in Ayotzinapa will be forgotten in many people's minds, however, there are things that strengthen us today to believe that the search must continue, the investigation must continue.
And it will continue, given that a team of experts from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights has agreed to advance an independent investigation for at least another 6 months. The Inter-American Commission will also give its full report on the overall situation of human rights in Mexico in early 2016, which they say at this point continues to be in a deeply concerning state. Clayton Khan, TeleSUR, Mexico City.
President of the Palestinian Authority Mahmoud Abbas told the General Assembly that the Palestinian side is no longer bound to the Oslo Accord peace agreements signed previously with Israel, as long as Israel continues to violate them. Abbas made it clear that either the Palestinian Authority will be the conduit for Palestinian people from occupation to independence, or Israel takes its responsibility as an occupying state. The president's speech came shortly before a ceremony was held at the Rose Garden to celebrate the raising of the Palestinian flag.
For sure we are happy, we are making history. Maybe the speech of our president did not meet our very high Palestinian expectations, but still it was powerful enough to send a strong message to the world that Palestine does exist and that we will fight for our freedom even if it means breaking all agreements and accords.
On September 10, the United Nations General Assembly voted for a resolution that allowed the flags of Palestine and the Vatican to be raised at the United Headquarters in New York. The resolution was backed by 119 countries with 45 abstentions and 8 votes against, including the United States, Israel, and Australia. Nur Harazin, TeleSUR TV, Gaza.